Okay, so next we got these questions that deal with transformations. So from here, we could just break down what the question is asking us. So it's saying it's translating 4 units to the left, which means we expect to see an x plus 4. That's just something you have to remember, that plus 4 means to the left 4. So here we see a minus 4 and a minus 4, so we know it's not A or B. Finally, when we see 1 unit down, that means we have a minus 1. So that minus 1, oh, this is not a minus 1, so we know it's not C. So that only leaves us with D. And just remind yourselves, you could always use this graphing calculator. They're going to be provided on the test to see how the function looks, to see if it matches those descriptions. It's going to be minus 1. So if we zoom out all the way, we're going to, yeah, it moves 4 to the left and 1 down. Same thing for this next problem. We could just graph it exactly how it is. So minus 3, absolute value of x, minus 2, plus 7. So we see several things from it. First thing is that it shifts 2 to the right. So we're going to write that. Shifts 2 to the right. Probably should wrote the number 2. We also see that it shifts 7 up. We also see that it opens down, because it's usually a V, but this time it's an upside down V, so it opens downward. And we see it kind of got skinnier. The word we use to define that is stretches by 3. So stretch, let's see, I'll just say stretch by 3. All right, easy. Now that we move on to the next ones, we'll see how easy these are. We'll just deal with them exactly like this. Plot them into the calculator so that we could get our solutions. In this case, we see we get 6 and 14. So we just want to take advantage of this calculator to be able to get our answers very fast. 114. From here, we see that we could do the same thing with this one on the right. So that is absolute value of 2x minus 4, all of that equal to 8. And if we check out our values, we see that we have a negative 2 and a 6 line. So it's about seeing where this line happens. It could either be at 2 lines, which is usually going to be the case, or it could even be at 1 line or even 0 lines. So just take note of that. We're going to see these 2 examples really quick as well. So we're going to solve these a very similar way. We just type exactly what we see into the calculator. And whenever we see a less than, we could just use this symbol down here, less than, or you could type it out by typing less than and then an equal sign. At any rate, we get this little shaded region in between. See that it hits at negative 13 right there and at 5 on the right. So those are going to be the little notches that we're going to make. Negative 13 and 5. See that it's plotted on the inside and that it's a solid line. So a solid line we could represent with that big solid filled in dot. From here we have 2 inequalities. We could do x is greater than negative 13, and since it's a solid line, we just box it in. Or we do that little line under and then we box it in. Notice how the inequality is pointing to the right side, to the direction that we need to fill in. Next, this one points to the left, and it's to 5. It's very easy. It's just about plotting it how we need to. Let's take a look at this bottom left one. 2x plus 1 minus 3 is greater than 8. So we look at this, we got values at negative 6 and 5. But this time we got dashed lines. So those dashed lines are represented with an open circle, and it's shaded away. So when we shade away, we also have to do our inequality away. So x less than to the left, negative 6, and then this one is x is greater than 5. So it's also good to see that there's no line underneath this inequality. Finally, we go to these last two types of problems. So here we're going to have something that we need to set up. So it's always going to be in this form. And I want you to just remember it. X minus target. And that's going to be equal to vary. When we read our question, we want to know what X, what target, and what vary mean. So in this question, X is something that we don't know. It's saying we have money in our wallet, but we don't know how much. So X is money in wallet. In wallet. Our target is how much money we think we have, how much we should have, something like that. So target in this case is, okay, we say that we have 50, but we're not exactly sure it's perfectly right. It's a good guess, but we know that it could vary by 15 bucks. To do that, we're going to have X minus target, which is 50, and that has to be equal to the amount that it varies. So in this case, it's 15. That's part of our answer. We can always go back into the calculator and type it exactly as it appears. X minus 50 is equal to 15. We zoom out, we zoom out. We see that we got two marks right here, at 35 and at 65. So we know that those are two potential solutions. Finally, we got something similar in this one. So X minus a target, we look at this word problem, we see that we expect to have 25 seeds. So we do 25, but we know that it could vary by 3 seeds. So that means we got this as our expression. We could just always type it in. Absolute value of X minus 25. Oops. Absolute value of X minus 25 is equal to 3. And we get values here, 22 and 28, which should make intuitive sense. So those are our two values. So not that bad. It's going to be 2 questions on this material during the exam. There's going to be 2 more on inequalities like that, understanding what that little arrow means. Understanding this is going to be 2 questions on the exam as well. So just being able to find solutions. And finally, we got one solution or one question for transformations, which is this. Reminder, we also got 3 questions for this stuff. Key features. So I hope this is enough material for you guys to do well. And if there's any issue, of course, you could always let me know.